Hi, good afternoon, Commissioners. I'm here with Detective Aaron Smith, who's been with the department for almost 23 years.
23 next year.
So Aaron is special to this department and to me because I've not only known him and we've known each other our entire career, but he's also taken a special interest in understanding mindfulness and the health and the welfare of officers, not only just himself through his own personal experiences, but also his brothers and sisters in blue. What's important about brain health is it helps us become far more intentional about officer well-being on and off duty. We don't know enough about PTSD. We wish we had known so much more early in my career. But now that we do, we know a couple things. One, we have an excellent EAP program. We started a chaplain program, but none of these things really got to that personal one-on-one level. We then started a peer support program, of which Aaron's been a part of. But Aaron, if I can, tell me, what do you think about Robertson's brain health, and how do you think this is going to help our officers and their families?
Well, I think so far in looking at what I've looked at with it, it looks like it could be very beneficial. But when we talk about peer support and things like that, and how do we take care of ourselves, that self-awareness piece is first and foremost. And you and I have spoken several times on different occasions where that part is kind of after the fact, but during the initial being mindful and being aware, that's where the peer support things come in. That's where being able to actually open up about a lot of this stuff and talk that through. A lot of the times we don't even know that we're struggling or what we're going through until sometimes it's often too late. So having the brain health or other programs like that are extremely beneficial once we get past that part of initially, hey, I've got to start dealing with this, I've got to start taking some steps on my own. And brain health could certainly be one of those things that says, all right, now that I've recognized this and I kind of have an idea of what might be going on, I don't know what's going on or how to fix it, let's look into some other programs, and can definitely be, I think, a tool that we could use amongst ourselves to get that next step that we need.
You wouldn't say that officers are very good about opening up and sharing their feelings, right?
No, absolutely not. And that's one of, I think, the biggest hurdle is that awareness piece. Just like it was with the military several years ago. Now that we have that awareness, I think I'm seeing a little bit more of it in the first responder community, but we're definitely not where I think the military is with the awareness of the PTSD, the emotional trauma, and some of the things that we see and we have to deal with. But once you can get to that awareness and being able to talk about it, you just have to, right? Because we've seen the effects of it, the officer suicide rate, the divorce rate, the substance abuse rate amongst our own family. And it's really something that needs to be addressed. And you're not going to address that until you can start talking about it, and that's what we need to do.
That's right. Pretty excited about this program. It's called SPIDR Tech. Wouldn't it be great if we could be more like Amazon? I think a lot of us would like to be more like a company that has 3 phases of notification. When for example, when you order a package, they let you know that you ordered it. They let you know when it's en route. And then at the end, they say, well, how did we do? Wouldn't that be really cool for law enforcement to be able to do that? Well, we think so. I think it will help build our case when it comes to transparency and communication and more importantly, customer satisfaction. I know in policing, customer satisfaction is always a tall order, but using this tech and the fact that so many Americans today use smartphones and they start communicating via text. Matter of fact, some studies recommend and even suggest that texting is becoming the new form of communication. So why not try it out? Well, there's 3 different modules. There's a patrol module. That's all those calls for service, right? And then there's an investigations module, which is where we're going to talk to you here in just a minute. Okay. And then finally the insights module. That's kind of that feedback. How did we do? Did I get 5 stars or did I get 1? Clearly, we don't like 1s. We don't even want a 3. We'd much rather have those 4.5 and 5s. And so understanding how we're doing with our community and providing policing services is important to us. But I know it may seem counterintuitive at this point, but I want to be really clear on something. Aleena, you're a victim advocate. When would we not want to use a program like this where we just sort of oversimplify a traumatic moment in someone's life?
We would not want to use this program for something like a homicide or a domestic violence incident. It's very important that victim services are personal for crimes like that. And I think that it requires a human touch.
Well, I would agree with you, and that's why I'm glad you're here. It's because although there is a victim notification, a module, I want to make sure that there are ways in which that we can create or formulate the program that works best for us in our community and those individual needs. Certainly when it comes to like domestic violence or criminal sexual conduct or even child crimes. We don't want to send an automatic text to someone who has just quietly texted dispatch and said, I'm being abused,
Right.
and have that go back and maybe perhaps the abuser or the perpetrator would see that. So in your world and in your space, I think that would be important that we not do that. Would you agree?
I would agree. I think that for first and foremost, that's a dangerous idea. And you don't know who's receiving the text. I mean, you hope that it goes to the right person, but you can't guarantee that. And also, it does not come off as personable. You don't want to automate victim services.
There you go. And again, data for us is so important, and finding a better means of collecting it so we can understand our customer base and the way we serve them and get better is, but there's exceptions. And I certainly wanted you to understand that technology doesn't fix everything, and it can't fix the groundwork that Aleena does on a daily basis when it comes to these significant crimes against persons. But again, SPIDR Tech, it's a good program. Last request is about Dragon Speak. It is a dictation automatic piece of technology and software that we hope to use. The medical community has been using it for some time. Law enforcement community has started using it in earnest about a decade ago. And the technology through Alexa and Siri has so perfected that we believe we're at a point where we could utilize and become far more efficient in terms of our operations and in our records bureau. The way it works now is an officer will dictate into a registered digital recording device. That device is then downloaded. The transcriber will listen to that recording, type it, and then send it to a sergeant and that officer for review. We're trying to cut down on that process. That could save us by having officers dictate it, go directly into a Word document, officers being able to edit their document and send it right into the system. A sergeant can review it, and we skip an entire step. And we hope that would save time. And also would reallocate time for those records folks that we currently use to employ and help us in places like the Community Fusion Center or in the High-Risk Investigations Unit. These are all the reallocation of personnel that will help us become better at providing the customer service that our community deserves.